Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hasra. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good
Am I
afternoon.
audible? Am I audible?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. So we are going to start. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No issues. No issues.
Should we start now?
Let us start. Let us start.
Absolutely.
Okay. We are really very sorry because of some technical glitch. All of you facing very difficulties to join.
Technical skills.
Also wasting time for Mr. Hajra. We are really sorry for it. Uh, Thank you. After long hurdle, on the help of our system engineers, we finally able to sort out the problem and able to conduct the program. Um, uh, very good afternoon, all the participants and the IIC members of RCC Institute of Information Technology. So all the programs are welcome in this session. It is an event of the IIC calendar activity. The name of the event is uh, the my story. Uh, I'm just opening my story motivational session by successful entrepreneur. So our renowned speaker, Mr. Urijit Hajra, with us. So before going to start this program, so we introduce Mr. Urijit Hajra. So Mr. Urijit Hajra is India's first techno-spiritual entrepreneur. He started his first startup at the age of 22 while still a student of BTech, Computer Science and Engineering, and filed his first patent in the robotics and electronics domain at the age of 23. He has experience in several state-of-the-art technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, robotics, Internet of Things, UI and UX, blockchain, data science, game development, web and app development, digital media marketing, and social media marketing. Urijit Hajra is a creator. Urijit Hajra is the creator of Eastern India's first indigenously developed semi-human food general purpose robot, the Annapurna, who was invited along with Mr. Urijit Hajra at Dadagiri session. Probably all of you have seen this session. Recently, Annapurna, the robot, has been featured in more than 25 plus national and state newspaper and news channel for becoming the first robot to do Durga Boron at Durga Puja, Durga Boron at Durga Puja 2022. Currently, Mr. Hajra is the Chief Executive Officer, Think Again Lab, India's first techno-spiritual research organization, organizer of NASA Space App Challenges India, Network Institute of ISRO, and he is also mentor of Chart, Auto Linking, and NITI Ayog, Niti Ayog, Government of India, and he also director of Space Apps India. He also the external expert startup at Institutional Innovation Council of Magnasa Institute of Technology, and also mentor at UN World Innovation Day Hack 2021 at Hackmaker. So, thank you, Mr. Vijit Hajra. So, I also like to introduce our IIC members present in this event. Our IIC President, Professor Alok Pole with us, Professor Abhishek Basu, NIRF and ERI coordinator also with us, Mr. Sijan Bhattacharya, IPR coordinator of IIC with us, Professor Buddha Business Innovation Activity Coordinator also with us, Professor Pita Ghosh, Coordinator with us, Hiran Coordinator with us, myself, Professor Asis Mohan, coordinator of the IIC. Besides that, our second year, third year students are also joining this program. The students are also carrying the responsibility of coordinator of themselves. So now, not time, we will start for the lesson. So now, I request Hajra to proceed for your session. It is already done. The system already done as a presenter to you, Mr. Hajra. Over to you.
Students and speak. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Yes, sir. My question is, can student also reply to my questions or something like that? Is it possible in this session, or they are muted or something like that?
I think student can interact with you.
অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স তো খুব কম 12 নম্বর তো
So it's about journey of ownership. What I have done, I am not going to show any presentation if not needed. I will purely talk and purely share my experiences. I hope that will be much more interesting for you and as much more valuable for you to actually start your own startup journey. So it started like the main aspect of entrepreneurship is problem, right? So the difference between a normal person and an entrepreneur is a normal person try to avoid problems and the entrepreneur is try to get into a problem to find the solution. So this is the basic and the most important difference between any other person in this world and any other entrepreneur. Right? So entrepreneur never try to after that, like from class 6 to class 12, I have worked with several computer based technologies and all those kind of stuff. Even at that point of time, I was not having computers, so I used to spend hours and hours in brainware to use their computers to learn different kind of technology, and they actually love me a lot because I was very young and doing all this kind of things. So that's amazing, interesting thing for them as well, right? But when I actually get into college, my expectation was that I already know about coding. I already know about how to build a website and all those kind of stuff. So then I get into computer science engineering because my like imagination was in computer science engineering. I would like to make robots. I will work on AI algorithms and different kind of stuff. But when I get into college and go through the curriculum and understand that I am going to learn about those things that I have already learned 6 years back, maybe in a little bit higher way, but the purpose of getting into engineering to build things was still not there, because at that point of time there was no IIC, there was no entrepreneurship hype was there. People didn't know about this term entrepreneurship. The hands-on training approach in education was not there. So I was too much demoralized because I have to go to class, I have to learn about C, Java again and again, but I have completed all those things previously. So what I did, I so that was a problem to me, right? That's the problem I was facing at that point of time. Now when I talk to different kind of engineers, different kind of my classmates, seniors and juniors, I get to know about this is a common problem to everybody. Everybody is facing this same problem, but nobody has the guts to stand up and say, sir, I don't want to be stay in this class because I don't like this complicated, and this is not going to help me actually build up a career in the computer science. Electronics. So at that point of time, my brother was in IEM. Brother means it's not like family relation. I got connected with him after coming to Kolkata. I actually used to stay at rent at his home. So he was junior to me, and he was in IEM. So he let me know about that this kind of session is happening on robotics. So whether I could join or not. So I joined in that session, and I see that only I am the single guy from my college or any other colleges except IEM in that session. So there are 300 students, 299 from IEM, and I am the only one guy who is outside of IEM, right? And in that particular session, I get to know about what is robotics, how to implement the coding into the electronics part, because I am from computer science. And before college, I didn't have much more experience in electronics domain. I had experience in computer science and different kind of stuff. So I get to know about all these things. After that, I started working on robotics little by little because I couldn't afford to have those components. I couldn't afford to buy those components to build robots and all those kind of stuff. So all are like theoretical things or anything possible in simulations. I was trying to do all this kind of stuff. So all of a sudden there was a family, like financial crunch in my family in my second year, and it was a situation like that my father couldn't support me in my studies, and I have to pay my study bills, I have to pay the bills for my staying in Kolkata and all those kind of stuff. So that was a very harsh moment in my life, though I didn't struggle. Because many people say that what is your struggling story, I say I don't have a struggling story because I enjoyed the journey. It was not a struggle for me, and if it was a struggle I could have quitted. I couldn't quit, I didn't quit because it was not a struggle to me. It was an experience. Maybe it's a good or bad, something like that, but it was an experience. So one day I was insulted a lot by my landlord because I couldn't have the money to pay him for the room rent and all those kind of stuff. And from the beginning, one thing I had, that is a self-respect. So maybe I didn't have money, but I have self-respect, and if somebody is coming to me for a few thousands of rupees and saying me good and bad words, I couldn't tolerate that stuff. So what I did, uh, I just took a bag, put few essential materials like that was a month of December, and I put up a sweater, a jacket, and all those kind of stuff in a single bag, a side bag, and I just get out of the room, and I promised myself that I will get back to the room only if I am getting the opportunity to pay the rent. Otherwise, I am not going to come back to the room, right? So what I did, I used to spend my whole day and whole night on roads of Kolkata. And it's a absolutely true statement. It's not an exaggerated statement, because the city was Kolkata, and many people at that point of time knew about me. They seen me doing that stuff. So what I where I used to stay at Jesus came hostel to them, understand their life, and at that point of time, what I have understood, that everybody in this world have their own story, own struggle, own happiness, and no person is bigger or smaller, and that actually helped me to stay grounded so far. Right? I never behave like I am a very big person. I have done this, that, because nothing is bigger than your humility. If you are not a good person, no work of yours can be a good work, right? So that time actually helped me to understand this stuff, that uh, life is all about your work, right? So after staying 1 2 days, whatever amount I am having in my pocket, that was going to be get exhausted. So what I could do at that point of time to get a job, because I was in second year, I didn't have any degree or something like that. At first, I started working in a call center, right? Because that's the most easiest job one can get during their college days if they urgently need money or something like that. So I went for an interview. I gave the interview, and I got selected because my spoken the communication power was very good from the beginning. It was not like that during my college days, but when I start doing the struggle and all those kind of stuff, I felt like uh, this communication skill actually grows in you when you are in struggle, because the only thing that can save you from diversity, that is the communication skill, that is the convincing power, right? So that somehow developed within me. And one more important aspect that helped me to develop this communication skill, I was a good teacher. I love to teach. So since my class 10, I used to teach the student of same class. Like I used to teach my friends against a few money or something like that, to get some pocket money, as well as that helped me to revise my studies and learn much more effectively and much more faster, right? So that's helped me to get this communication skill. So I went to give the interview and I got selected, and I started working from the same day. So I gave interview at 12 o'clock, got selected at 12:10, and I was asked to join the company from 3 o'clock, right? So I went there. It was a outbound process call center, where we have to call different kind of people around the world to let them understand that they are having some problem in the computer that they don't have. Like the computers are okay, so they were cheating people. So I understood the fact within 3 to 4 days. So I quit that job, but within that 3 to 4 days, I was given few scripts to learn and speak to these people, and the people were mostly German people, right? So I converted the whole script from English to German, because I have understood the problem, why those company couldn't convert. And the day I sit in front of the computer, I started doing conversions. The reason behind it, like they were talking to elderly people in a country who spoke German, and we are speaking in English. So there is a communication gap. So what I did, after coming back to home, I converted the whole script in German, and from few tutorials and all this kind of stuff, I just understood the facts written in the script. I didn't say that I learned the whole German, but I learned the script and the pronunciation and all this kind of stuff. So from the next day, I started giving conversions that actually take by any newcomer at least 7 to 10 days, right? So after 3 4 days, they try to promote me to team leader position. That actually takes a person 3 to 4 months to reach that position. But according to my communication skill and the way I was converting, they are willing to promote me to that post. But I seen that this is not my cup of tea, because doing a bluff game and getting into this kind of nonsense things is not my cup of tea. So I quit that job. Now what I need to do, so what I used to do, I stay at road at night, and in the morning I come to the office and do the things and all this kind of stuff. So that job was not there with me at that point of time. So what I can do, so the next thing that I felt like I can do and that is possible to do at this point of time, that is event job, right? So you are hired as an event boy in different kind of events happening around in Kolkata, like government events, corporate events, where you have to greet people, do the registration, and different kind of stuff related to events, right? And they don't require any kind of qualification. They require a decent boy or decent girl with a communication skill and all those kind of stuff. So I went to an interview for events, and that event was Bengal Global Business Summit, right? That is organized by the government of West Bengal by Mamata Banerjee. It was inaugurated, and every year it happens to bring industries from outside of West Bengal, outside of India, and showcase all the innovations happening in West Bengal, right? So that year in 2015, it was first starting off. So because of my communication skill, I got that job too. And my work is to stand for 17 hours to get 400 rupees and greet people, good morning, good night, sir. That was my job, right? And I used to get 400 rupees for a day. And I have to work for 17 hours, right? In Bengal Global Business Summit. And I have done it for like 3 to 4 days. It was a 3 to 4 days event or something like that. So what used to happen? I stay at night, stay at the road at night. I wake up in the morning, go to pay and use toilet, get freshened up, get ready. My cab used to come over there to pick me up. That cab was given by the event people, and I go to the event venue and do the job for 17 hours. Then came back to any places what I like in Kolkata and stay over there at night. I used to eat with them, eat with the beggars, sleep with them, and all this kind of stuff. So after a few days, like I have done the event work for like 6 to 7 months. And after doing one event, I never went to event as an event boy. What I did, I understood that if I am earning 400 rupees a day, it is very difficult for me to actually get the enough amount of money that I need to survive as well as pay for the college fees. So what I can do, I can actually create a network of people, college people, because this is also another problem, that people want pocket money in their college days, but they couldn't find a job that they can do for earning that kind of pocket money. So what I did, I talked to all of my friends and their friends and their friends, took up numbers of them. I used to call them again and again, like, do you want to work in event? Do you want to work in event? So in that process, I have created a network of 190 people, right, who is willing to work in events. Among them, 40 to 50% of that number is actually real models, real people, real celebrities, and all those kind of stuff. And what I used to do, I used to get events and understand the requirement and the number of people they require, and I recruit them. So they went to work, and I get a amount of commission out of their work because I have to pay them. And that actually raise up my earning to 4,000 rupees a day from 400 rupees a day. What I did, I just replicated what I was doing through a network, right? It's not a networking thing like create legs, get paid, not like that. It's a community, it's a network which is working for me so that I can earn more money, and I am multiplying my time. How I am multiplying why is the job? Somebody will say like it will be like it's my own thing, I am the boss and all this kind of stuff. No, everybody have a boss. Like I am a CEO of a company, I have a boss, and the name of the boss is customer. Customer and clients is my boss. Everybody has somebody to answer, right? And that answerable person is the boss. Now, why we do business or entrepreneurship? To create a sustainable framework to multiply our time. How? So for example, I work in 25 plus technologies, forget about it. Let's take an example that I know only one technology, that how to build a website with WordPress, right? And I started working like a freelancer. And I am getting, yeah, Shuchana Mojumdar, do you want to say something? You have raised hand. Shuchana, do you want to say something? Okay. So suppose I am having a skill of developing
Hello,
website
sir.
through, yeah, please say.
Yes, sir. Sorry for the interruption. Sir, I wanted
No,
to
no,
ask you that how were you inspired to do this work, begin this work?
the most biggest inspiration in your life is starvation. খিদে, বাংলা যেটাকে বলে খিদে, when I was sleeping on the roads, I could have went back to my home in Bardhaman, right? And I can have a very good cooked aloo posto and bhat and macher tok by my mother and eat it and sleep on the bed. And if I could have done it, I would can never become an entrepreneur, because my starvation will be quenched with the good food cooked by my mother. What I did, I let my body survive on whatever I can get by my own, and that actually driven me to find out a way. I always treat myself as an orphan. Like my father and mother is there, fine enough. What if they were not there? What can I do of my own? Why should I need somebody else to create my identity? Why couldn't I build my own identity? I have two hands, two legs, two eyes, and one mouth that everybody else have. Now, why after completing my 18th year, after becoming an adult, why should I need to depend on somebody else called my father for money, for my upbringing? Why should I? This is the only question that driven me at that point of time. And secondly is, I, from beginning, from my childhood, I try to and I love to stay independent, right? I didn't have taken any teacher or something like that during my class 11 and 12. I have taken science, I cracked joint and all this kind of stuff, but without any teacher. Why? Because I don't think at that point of time that anybody else can teach me better than myself. And I have learned all this kind of stuff in class 11 and 12 by my own self, and that actually created a self-learning attitude in me that helped me to learn 25 plus technologies by my own self. And right now I'm working on them, on research, development projects, client work. I'm teaching more than 60,000 students. So I have already taught more than 60,000 students in 5 countries on all these technologies. So these adversities, your one and only motivation is adversity in life. If you are not having starvation, having thirst, and if you are not quenching those things with your own deeds, you will never have a strong backbone, right? So that was my motivation to all these things. And there was few personal event as well. I was going through a heartbreak, a bad relationship phase, and all those kind of stuff. And that point of time, I was at the rock bottom. There was nothing bad can happen more with me. And that's why I have to bounce back and do something to create my identity, right? So when we go through failures, sometimes we feel like we are lost. We don't have an identity. People don't recognize us. And I was at absolutely that moment when my brain told me that if you want to be get recognized, you have to create your own identity. And that's what I have done. And that's what actually made me today what I am today, right? So that's, I hope actually answered whatever you are asking. So that's how I
Thank
have
you, sir.
created the, yeah. So that's how I have created the event network. So till now, I have not started any company. But if you carefully and very minutely look at my activities, you can understand that I was an entrepreneur at that point of time without having a startup company. Because entrepreneurship is not having a designation of CEO, open up a startup company, or doing all this and that and all this kind of stuff. Entrepreneurship is a pure mindset where you are trying to solve problems and making a money out of it by solving that problem repetitively for millions of people. That is entrepreneurial mindset. And for that, you don't need to have a product, you don't need to have a service, you don't need to have a team, you don't need to have a company. Those are all later and phases. First, what you need to develop, that is the entrepreneurial mindset, that I will took up problems, I will not escape problems, I will took up problems, I will face that head on head, and I will find out some solutions and get out of it. And that is the mentality, that should be the mentality for any entrepreneur. And if you don't have this mentality, even you got funded 100 CR, 100 crore rupees, you couldn't make up a company. You couldn't, you can never. And if you have that mentality, without a single penny of funding, you can actually build up a company like I have did Think Again Lab without a single penny external funding. I have built a startup from scratch in a very, very expensive product domain, that is building robots and all this kind of stuff. Apart from that, we are having services like building product for other people, upskilling youths in different kind of technologies with real projects and all this kind of stuff. But I have done all these things with customers' money without any single penny external funding or something like that, because I have that mentality that I have the skills, and right now my work is to find out the people who are having problem, whom I can help by providing a solution which is aligned with my skills. This is the mathematical equation of earning, right? So after doing this event work for like 6 months, 7 months, I was not feeling good. Why I am not feeling good? I was earning money, not like in lakhs, but in thousands. But the problem is, I was not feeling that kick in that job because I am a techie guy, right? Human resource supply or creating a network of that, I couldn't do for longer period of time. I was starving for my passion, right? My mission and goals, that I want to build robots, I want to build technology systems, I want to build products. But what I'm doing, I am doing an event job, and that is paying me well, but I couldn't stay it for longer period of time because that will become an addiction and I will forget about the passion and the mission and the vision of my life. So what I did, I somehow got connected with the company with which I have done the workshop before that I talked about, Distronics, and I get connected with the founder somehow through few of my contacts and arrange for a interview session. So I went to them and somehow I convinced them that I don't know much about robotics, but what I know, that is logic, that I can actually convert any kind of manual work into automation through my coding skills, because I am doing it for last 6-7 years and that I love to do. And if they give me the opportunity and a lab with equipments, I can actually learn robotics and help them in building the products. And they gave me few instant work to do at their lab, and I did it without learning from anywhere. I did it within like 15 to 20 minutes after learning from Google. I actually programmed a Arduino for doing some LED pattern things or something like that, and worked with a sensor to create a automated system. First time, without a try, I have did it for them, and they are too much impressed to take me as an intern of the company, and I joined there. So that was a very initial days of a startup of that company. So that actually gave me eventually a very good idea that how a startup works, what is a startup, how we can get projects, and how a startup ecosystem actually works. Startup culture क्या होता है, कैसे काम करना है, and all this kind of stuff. So I worked with them for 2.5 years, near about, or 2 years, I think so. And in these 2 years, I became one of the core research team members of that company. Without completing my college, I worked with TCS for office automation system under that company, and learn about a lot about robotics and different kind of related technologies. After that, so there is a saying that कहीं पे पहुंचने के लिए कहीं से निकलना बहुत जरूरी है. So that time was like that for me. So I quitted that job, that internship, and went to create an innovation for the people who are actually suffering from the same problem like me. Like, people have the eagerness to learn about robotics and this kind of hardware technologies, but there are two problems that they are usually facing. The one thing is interfacing problem. What is interfacing problem? So when we are working with a hardware platform, if we interface the sensors and all those kind of stuff in a wrong way, that got burned. Now, if a hardware is getting burned, it's a waste of money. Now, as a student, it's very difficult for anybody to waste a lots of money to learn hardware things. And that's why most of the students are much more aligned to get into BPO, IT sectors and all those kind of stuff. But they have the interest to build robots, they love it, but somehow they couldn't do it. So I thought about a platform called ThinkGround, and that was my first patent, where I have integrated different kind of sensors and actuators in a single platform that size of a mobile phone, right? And that will capable of letting anybody understand electronics and robotics without doing the interfacing work. So they can just connect with the USB and they can start coding and see the outputs on the real platform. Like they can build different kind of projects by the permutation combination of the sensors on board. Like there are sensors of light sensor, buzzer is there, temperature sensor is there, sound sensor is there, LED bar graph is there, servo motor slot is there in a single board. Now with the permutation combination of the different sensors like the light sensor and the RGB LED, we can create an automatic night lamp. So people can try out with different kind of projects from a single board without losing the sensors or without getting into much more into hardware, and they can get the confidence to get into electronics and robotics domain. And I saw millions of people are facing this problem statement. So I have created that platform. And after that, when I get into market research, I get to know about there is another problem. Like people are very much afraid of coding itself. Those people, like most of the people, right? They are learning coding. They are doing few work for assignment or their semester or vibe or something like that. But they are not getting the proper vibes of the programming. They are not liking it. They are not becoming self-sufficient programmer. So what needs to be done? I came up with the idea of a framework, language framework that is called a Think Language Framework, where I have wrote 35,000 lines of code to create a library which can help anybody to code robotics platform with English like language. Because people were having this problem of coding because the programming language is also a language, but it is much more different from the languages we speak, like English, Bengali, and all those kind of stuff. So what I have created, I created an abstraction layer. So in the top of it, you can program robots with English like language, and all the work is done by my 35,000 lines of code, which is converting those things into robotics language and helping to program our robotic system irrespective of the microcontroller. So that language is a general purpose language that can be used with Raspberry Pi, that can be used with Arduino and any kind of hardware platform, along with my ThinkGround platform that can be used by people to code robotics with English like language. Like you have to write blink to blink a LED. You have to write rotate to rotate a motor. And I am talking about 2015-16. At that point of time, it was not that much available, right? So I have created those things and I went to go publishing for the patent. And somehow during that time, I get to know about the term entrepreneurship. So far, I was actually doing entrepreneurship in certain way, but I didn't know about the term. So I went to PIC, Patent Information Center, to file my patent on that particular product. And so when I went there, I get to know about a program they're having called DOEN program, where they're talking about technology-based entrepreneurship development. So I got my first mentor as well over there, Dr. Moham Chaudhary. She is the patent and trademark attorney of West Bengal government and right now a board member of our company. So she asked me to join that session, and I joined that session and get to know about entrepreneurship, right? So entrepreneurship is a mindset that I was talking about, because see, I was actually doing entrepreneurship before knowing the term itself, because it's a lifestyle. It's a mind configuration. So you don't need to know about it. It's a lifestyle, it's a personality, right? That I used to have at that point of time. So after joining that event, I get to know about different terms of entrepreneurship, different things and all those kind of stuff. And I filed the patent, my first patent. And then I was having a problem of, if I want to open up a company, the first issue got into mind that I don't have an address. Till now, I don't own any house, any flats or something like that, because I don't love to own things. And I will describe why. If I forget, ask me at the end of this session that why I don't like to own things. And that will actually change your perspective about life, money, asset and liabilities, right? So ask me this question at the end of this session. I will surely answer that why I don't want to own things. I love to rent things rather than owning things. So at that point of time, the problem was, if I want to open up a company, it's very difficult to open up a company without an address. We need an address to register the company. So what I can do? Another problem. So I am sharing the journey in the problem and solution way, so that you can actually understand the life of an entrepreneur is a life of a problem solver, nothing else than that. In every phase of your life, every day morning, 10 to 15 problem will come and knock at your door that we are standing outside, just come outside and solve us. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. If you want that life, if that excites you, then only get into entrepreneurship. Don't get into entrepreneurship with imaginary thought that we will raise 100 CR funds, we will get into Mercedes, we will go to Dubai, we will have no bosses. Those are secondary things, and those are uncertain things. Nobody knows whether your company is going to be big or small or medium. Nobody knows whether you are going to get funds or not. But what you surely know, and you have to know before starting entrepreneurship, that you have to be a problem solver, and that should be your purpose to get into entrepreneurship. If you are getting into entrepreneurship to earning more money, to create a flat, to buy a car, then don't get into entrepreneurship. Why? Because those are very uncertain. And if you get into entrepreneurship, waste your 4 or 5 years, and suppose you didn't get those things at that point of time, you will be underconfident, you will be so much depressed, so much frustrated that you couldn't have the power to even pivot to a job life, right? So that's a very, very, very big problem. So now, like, the problem was to get. So when I start something, I don't have two questions in my mind that everybody has. I don't have those questions. So everybody, before doing something, they have two questions: whether I can do it, whether I cannot do it. These two questions are dilemmas of life that nobody can solve, right? So what happens? Our inherent psychology is to go into the easier pathway. So if I say to myself that I couldn't, and I excuse to other people that I didn't have a place, I didn't have a flat, I didn't have a house, that's why I couldn't open my company. And that is very easier to say that I couldn't have it, that's why I couldn't do it. But the thing is not like that. As an entrepreneur, you have to figure out what you have, how to use that what you have to create what you don't have, right? That is the formula of doing entrepreneurship. It doesn't matter what you don't have, you have to create it with the resources you already have, right? So what I did, I started thinking that how I can solve this problem. So one thing just knocked my mind, that maybe I don't have a place to incorporate my company, but there are many friends of mine who is having their own flats in Kolkata. And if I take one of them as my co-founder and use their place to incorporate my company, then without investing a single penny, I can actually solve my problem. And that eventually worked. I just called up one boy from my department, very good friend of mine, that I am starting off with this kind of company. We are going to build robots and all those kind of stuff. I have patent, and we have these persons in my boards. So do you want to collaborate with me? I just need one thing from your end. If you want to involve in the company, you can. If you don't want to involve in the company, I just want to get your address and NOC to just incorporate my company. And he agreed, because since my college days, people have seen me to work with companies from my second year, organize tech fest in my college, building robotics platforms and all those kind of stuff. That actually created a very good impression about me in my friend circle, that he agreed that, okay, let's do it. So I will be a partner. I will also work with you itself, as well as I will give my location. So he gave the location, we incorporated the company, and we started the journey. So that's how you should behave in entrepreneurship. There is no certainty that all the resources you require to start up a company will be with you. And if you have two questions in your mind, one is, if I can do it and I cannot do it, then your mind will ask you to go in the path of I cannot do it. So what is the magic trick through which you can tickle your brain and solve this loop problem? That you have to have two questions in your mind, that I can do it, how I can do it. So you have to reframe the questions. The question of I cannot do it or whether I can do it or not shouldn't be in your list. if you feel like that whatever you are thinking, it's the right thing, then you shouldn't have a question of 1% even in your mind that whether I can do it or not. The answer would be I can do it and I have to figure out how to do it. And if you can reframe your brain like that, you can solve any kind of problem in this world. You have to find ways. So you have to make efforts, not excuses. That's the first and foremost rule of entrepreneurship, right? So that's how we started. So after even getting the like place to incorporate my company, for incorporating a company took around like 10 to 15,000 rupees. And at that point of time, I am just out of college, not having any job in my hand and not doing anything or something like that. So how I can get that money? And if I don't get that money, so we have started with two things. Like we will develop robots, but we couldn't start with that. So we have chosen a better path in the robotics domain that can let me start a business with zero money with 400% profit margin. That is the ed tech business in the robotics domain. So how we have started, we ask my college students, my juniors, that I will teach you robotics because I have worked with this kind of robotics projects in different companies, and you have to pay me a money. So they said me, if we get certificate, then only we will pay you money and attend the session. Now it's called a deadlock situation or catch-22 situation where two events are not happening for a mutual occurrence. It means if I get a company done, then I can register students and get money, and they will come to me if I can register the company, and if I don't have the money of their registration, I couldn't form the company. So these two events are mutually exclusive and we couldn't perform the events because they are dependent, right? So either I have to register the company first or else I couldn't get the registration. So what I have done a growth hack over there. I told the students that I will give you obviously a certificate, but after 1 month of doing the event, if that is okay for you, then come to the event. Otherwise, I couldn't do that. And I talked to the lawyer team. I got a connection of a few lawyer firm and all this kind of stuff who work on incorporation of companies. That if I pay you a money of 7,000 or 8,000 rupees that's needed for incorporation of a company, how much time will it require to actually get my company incorporation done? So he said it's absolutely 15 to 20 days at max. So I gave them 30 days time, right? And what I've done, so around 15 to 20 people registered with 1,000 rupees. I get like 20,000 rupees. I spend 7 to 8,000 rupees to arrange the table, chair, projector, and all those kind of stuff, and use the rest of the money to incorporate my company. We have done 2 days workshop, let them learn about robotics by building robots and all those kind of stuff in a 20 feet by 20 feet small kitchen room in my flat, that where I am staying at rent, right? It's a too bad place, but somehow the people trusted me. 20 people trusted me. They gave the money, and I have incorporated my company even with the customer's money. I didn't pay the single penny from my pocket for that stuff. And I am giving these examples to let you understand, to start a company you can have. So you couldn't start a company and you can have millions of excuses for that. But you can start a company with only one effort and one question in your mind, that there is a problem that actually taunt me and I want to solve it. That is the only one and only inspiration for you to start a startup. There can be millions of excuses that what if I fail? What if I couldn't make that much of money? What if my career get wasted? What if people don't accept my product? What if I didn't get a teammate? What if I didn't get an investment? What if I didn't get a bank loan? But there is only one question, there is no if, that if I try and if I have the guts to do it, somehow, in some ways, I will find the way to reach the mission. And that should be the entrepreneurial mindset. And if you have it, you don't need to think of any resource lack, because somehow you will eventually make up it, right? So after incorporating my company, lots of things happened. We have pivoted a lots of time. So at first we started with education, then we get into product development. Right now we continue both of the things. We develop, so we started with robotics. Right now we work on 25 plus technologies like robotics, AI, machine learning, data science, graphics design, and lots of stuff. And what we do, we help startup, SME, and government to build their products from scratch. So suppose you want to build a IoT device with a dashboard and app and all this kind of stuff. We are a single point solution company who will give you the complete product. So you don't need to go to a IT company, go to a IoT company, go to a robotics company to build up your product. We are a one-stop solution for your technology needs. Whatever kind of products you want to build, we can build that product for you. Like we have created East India's first robot Annapurna. We have created world's cheapest VR headset with 47 rupees. We have created a patented product for a client that's a smart bottle. We have created e-governance system for Navadvip municipality. So those people, so the people of Navadvip used to get birth certificate, death certificate from our software. So we are a non-funded startup who worked with the government to create a e-governance system. And apart from that, we have worked with 100 plus institutions for different courses and educational curriculum, hackathons, and all those kind of stuff. We work with NASA and ISRO. And this year, something happened that can eventually give you a very good inspiration to start something, and you can understand that there is only the oldest automation in this world is karma, right? Karma, যেটাকে আমরা কর্মফল বলি. So I started my career or life with events by doing a 17 hours work in Bengal Global Business Summit to stand as an event boy and get 400 rupees for that, to greet people with good morning and good night. In 2022, in Bengal Global Business Summit, among all these innovators, all these innovations, 7 innovation from Department of Science and Technology got selected to be showcased on Bengal Business Trade Fair under Bengal Global Business Summit in 2022. And among those 7 innovations, 2 of innovations were mine. One is the VR headset and one is the robot. And I got a letter from West Bengal government and DST to come up with my innovation. And I am the only innovator who's not only 1, 2 innovations got selected. So the same event, and only 5 years in between, where I was standing for 400 rupees to greet and meet people and do an event job, I was invited as a delegate in that same event, same venue, same place. So if you have that guts, that I am not working because of certain kind of money, certain kind of recognition. I am working to solve a problem, and I have to do it. Like there is a statement in Manjidar Mountain Man movie, jab tak todenge nahi tab tak chhodenge nahi, right? So if you have that attitude that this is a problem statement that haunt me every day, I want to solve this problem no matter what is happening with me, your works eventually bring all the fame, all the rewards, all the money that you deserve. But we never know the time frame. It can be 5 years for me, it can be 7 years for you, it can be 7 months for you. But we have to keep doing it. And that's how entrepreneurship actually works, right? Like 2 days back, I was in IIT Kharagpur, invited by IIT Kharagpur to become a judge in their entrepreneurship development program, right? And I was one of the judges who is not an IITian. I have done something from IIT, but that's not a graduation course. So that's why I couldn't say that I am a IITian. I went to IIT Kharagpur for National Startup Launchpad and done a technology-based entrepreneurship development program, but that's a bridge course. That's not a graduation or degree course. So that's why I couldn't say I'm a IIT Kharagpur alumni or something like that. So I am the only IIT Kharagpur, I am the only people who is not a IIT Kharagpur alumni and who is invited in that event, right? And after doing mentorship and all those kind of stuff, on the startup bootcamp where I was a judge over there, the team who won the competition and the 3rd position both are mentored by me, right? Why? There are so many entrepreneurs and there are so many mentors too, but how can my mentor team can win that contest? Because I have learned it the most harsh way. And that's why I can teach and let anybody to understand this thing. And this, somebody is sharing screen. Should I continue?
You continue, no problem. Some system we are presenting some title page.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, sure. So, like, if you have, so in IIT Kharagpur, why does how many startups got selected first and third whom I mentored? Because I have done all the trial and error methods in this bootstrapping. If I could have been granted some funds or something like that in 2016, maybe today I will be a very big entrepreneur having hundreds year in revenue, but maybe I couldn't be a good mentor because I didn't know it feels to stay on road, how it feels to sleep on roads, how I can do things in better way. I didn't have those example sets. So if you are going through a very bad phase of your life in entrepreneurship, you have to understand the life is trying to teach you some lessons. And in life exam, the most important aspect, you will the question paper or the exam keep coming to your life until and unless you actually learn it. So if you feel that something bad is happening with you, just sit down and analyze the stuff, why something bad is happening with you. What life is actually trying to teach you. If you couldn't learn those stuff, it's very difficult and to solve that problem, and that will keep coming to your life, right? So these are the things that are very much important for entrepreneurship. Now I am giving a very generalized concept about entrepreneurship, and I will end my talk over here. Many people ask me a question that what is the best skill that I should learn to become an entrepreneur? The answer is you need to know how to sell and how to convince people. Why? Because you have to understand selling doesn't mean only selling the product or services. As an entrepreneur, when you are starting off, at first you have to sell your idea and vision to a person who will be called your co-founder, because you can drive a boat alone, but you cannot drive a ship alone, right? So you need a team. In that regard, you have to convince few other people who will be your partner, not employees, that you are moving towards a very, very, very big mission and vision, and they should join with you, right? And in this process is also a selling process, because you are convincing your co-founders to buy your thoughts. After that, you and your co-founder togetherly, you have to convince lots of people to work with you to make that thing happen, and those people will be called your employees, and they have to understand, they have to believe on your idea, and that is only possible when you are a great communicator and when you know how to convince people and how to let people understand they are what value you are adding to their life. If you go and ask somebody that do me a favor and do me this help, they will not do. But if you go to somebody and ask them that if you do this favor, this value will be added to your life, everybody will start helping you, because people want to know what they are getting out of the help they are doing to you. Nobody is interested to help you. Everybody is interested in their own purpose. So try to fulfill that purpose and convince them that they are not actually helping you, that it is a mutual benefit for both of you, right? And after you get a team, after you got the co-founders, after you got the employees, after building the product or the service channel and all those kind of stuff and growing a little bit, you have to convince your customers that you are having a solution that can solve certain problems they are having. This is also a sales process. You have to sell your product or services. And at last, with your co-founder, employee, and customer, you have to sell the whole thing to the investors or banks to give you much more higher funds so that you can scale up. So there are three phases of a startup: starting off, growth, and scale up, right? So the curve is going like this. So this exponential growth is called scale up. like from 50 CRs to 100 CR to 1000 CR. This process is called scaling up, right? So you can start a business with zero money, you can grow a business with zero money, but it's very difficult, not impossible, to scale up a business without investment, right? Like Zoho have scaled up and got 8,000 crore of revenues in a single year, and Zoho is a completely bootstrapped company. But this example is very less. In any product based company, it's very difficult to scale up without funding. But for starting off, for growth, for building a brand, you don't need funds. If you have that ability and that mindset, you can start with zero money, you can build up your business. And if you can build up a business, a profitable business with a very good business model, you don't need to go for an investor. Investor will come to you, because an investor is a person who is looking for a person like you who can grow their wealth. An investor pays you 1 CR or 1 crore rupees so that through your business model, he can make 100 CR. You have to understand, in this world, everybody use you. So become useful. Many people say that, sir, this is a bad world. I am very demoralized because people use me. Everybody is using everybody else. So the main purpose of our life to become more useful, so that people get addicted to our use. They couldn't think of their life without using us, because that's the purpose of our life. So never ever get demoralized that somebody is using me. Try to understand that how you can use them too, but in a very positive aspect. Don't exploit them, right? Don't deprive them. But if you are actually helping them, you also should get something in return. This process couldn't go for a longer period of time. So that is what is entrepreneurship is, according to me. I just tried to figure it out in a story-based manner that can help you out. And there was a question I asked you to ask me at last. I remember it, so I am answering that question and ending my talk today. That why I don't love to own things, why I love to rent, and what is asset and what is a liability. I'm just giving few examples to let you understand. So if you go to, so anybody can answer this question. If you go, suppose you are going for a vacation of 15 days in Dubai, right? So will you buy a car or buy a house over there? Anybody can answer, and this is not a bookish question. This is a normal question. So I would love people will if people will interact. So no, somebody is saying no. Anybody who will buy? Anybody is there who can buy? Who want to buy a house in Dubai for just tourist purpose? I hope nobody, right? Now my answer to this question to all my family members and all the people who ask me why I don't buy cars, why I don't buy bikes, why I don't buy house or something like that. I am here for travel for 70 years. मैं अभी तो घूमने ही आया हूं. कौन सा I have to stay here for 1000 years? This is my first answer. Second answer is asset and liability. So this is a philosophical answer. Now I am coming to mathematics and economics. Suppose I buy a 10 lakhs rupees car, right? Fine enough. The moment I took the car just out of the showroom and the first steps touch the tire of that car, the car becomes an asset of 7 lakhs rupees. After 1 year, every year, my car will have 20 to 30% depreciation rate, right? So I have infused to buy something which is deteriorating or decreasing my wealth. I don't love that stuff. Now, on the other contrary, suppose I get some extra funds, right? I buy a car, list it on Zoom or Uber or somewhere else, and my car is helping me to gain some monetary or wealth profit from it, and that is eventually helping me to pay the EMIs and all the maintenance charges. Then the same thing. So at the first example where I'm buying the car for luxury or my personal use, the car is a liability, right? But on the next example, where the car is helping me to earn money, the car is an asset. So if you want to be financially independent and financially stable, every time before making in any expenses, try to figure it out whether that expense is going for an asset or liability. So if you can figure it out, you will never get into bankruptcy. You will never get into financial trouble. Still, there are few times, even if you are doing all these things, you can get into, but the probability and certainty will be very less for that stuff. So that's why I don't want to own anything. I want to roam about the whole world without owning any kind of stuff. Now, if in future I found a good business model, like I can buy this flat at this price point, and I can put some rent over there, put some offices over there, or I can sell the flat with 40%, 50% hike after like 1 year or 2 year, and if that is good with the wealth projection, then I will go for it. But for your luxury, for actually proving to the society that you are settled and you are successful, don't buy a car or a bike or a house with EMI and credit cards. That's the trap to make you an employee, make you a servant for your lifelong. The day you bought a car with your EMI, you have sold your spinal cord to the organization you are working with, because even if you are seeing something wrong, you couldn't protest, because you need to have the monthly salary at the month's end to pay the EMIs, right? And the next thing is how I multiply times and what is the effect of business and entrepreneurship. Suppose you started like you are a great web developer, right? Great web developer. You started working with a company as a web developer and you are getting paid 1 lakh rupees a month, right? Your life is settled. You have a 12 lakh package in a year and you are doing very great and all those kind of stuff. And you are spending your 8 hours having fun, utilizing that money for luxuries and all those kind of stuff. Very great. But suppose one day, ऐसा ना हो, फिर भी, you met with an accident. You went to coma. You couldn't go to the job again, right? What will happen with your career? What will happen with your life? Will that company pay you that money, that rent, or that salary every month, even after you couldn't work with them, work for them? No. So the way we think our career is settled or secured by getting a job, that is not actually security. That is a bluff game. That was taught to our parents. Our parents is teaching to us, and we will teach to our children. But this wrong statement and ideology needs to be abolished and needs to be retaught to you, and that's what I'm doing today. If we take another example, suppose you are a web developer. You started working with a company, right? And started getting 1 lakh rupees a month. Now, from the first month, you have created a percentage ratio that I will spend 40% money, 40% money will go for savings, and 20% money I will create to invest a pipeline through which I will get money or wealth without my involvement. So if you keep doing it for 1 year, you will create such a stable revenue generation source which will give you money even if you are in coma. So right now think about it, which is a secured life, to get a job or create a process or a business which is giving you standing income. Along with that, when you are working alone for an organization, you are getting paid for 1 hour only, 8 hours only. That time you are working for the organization. Now, when I have 10 people in my company, suppose I have 10 people in my company, the number is very high, but I am, for the sake of calculation, I am taking the example of 10 people in my company, right? Now everybody works for 8 hours a day. So what is the length of duration of my day? Your length of duration of a day, even if you are working 24/7, still 1 day equals to 24 hours for you. But as because I have 10 people to work with me, 1 day equals to 80 hours to me. And that's how I can earn much more money than anybody who is doing job in the later on phase. And that's the magic of doing entrepreneurship and business. And that's what is called financial freedom. Job is not a financial freedom. Job is not safe. Job is not stability. That was wrong taught to our parents and they are teaching to us. Why? Because in 1835, something bad happened to India that is called English Education Act, that is getting imposed to India by the British government, which is written by Thomas Diamington Macaulay. And that Education Act was created to labor for their factories. And even after 1947, after India got independent, that act or the way of education still not changed. And this is a disease of 180 years. I call it a BSSIM, being a servant syndrome induced by negativity. That we are getting taught every day that get a job, do marriage, buy a house, buy a car, that is success. No, it's not. Because the day you will die, the amount of money you are having in your bank account, your car, your house, everything is going to be get assigned to some other person in this world. You are not that owner of those things. But the work you are doing, something you are building, and you are dying, those things will be aligned with your name forever. So that should be your purpose in life. And that should be your passion for entrepreneurship. Hopefully, I have given you a very good perspective about entrepreneurship from my journey. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Student, you can ask question.
Anybody having any questions? You can unmute and speak. Or you can write on the chat. I can answer those questions. So if anybody is from computer science or IT department, and if you have interest in data science or something like that, we are having multiple orientation session in data science, and we are having a workshop on predictive analysis on 26th and 27th of this month. If you want to get into that particular thing, get in touch with us, as well as come to our orientation session where we are bringing industry leaders from Swiggy, PwC, and different companies to understand about data science. And we are offering internship on those domains as well. So if anybody is interested, get in touch with us. Yeah, so I hope that they are not having any questions. So we can end this session, or if anybody have any questions, I can answer.
Anyone, any student? So there is no questions, I think.
Okay, so I can leave, sir.
Okay, now on behalf of Institution Innovation Council of RCC IIT, I extend my heartiest thanks to Mr. Orijit Hajra for joining this program instead of his busy schedule. And also I would like to extend my thanks to all the faculty members and all my beloved students. Mr. Hazra has nicely explained his life story, and he has explained very nicely how to become an entrepreneur without money and without any technical skill. So his life story is really very, very inspiring for all of us, especially for the students. He has a life packed with many achievements. So with this, I conclude my session. Thanks to all. Good night.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for invitation.
Yes.
Students who are participated here, there are two feedback form is given in the chat box. One is from IIC event feedback form, another is we have received from Mr. Orijit Hajra. You also must submit the feedback in this form. The two links already I have shared in the chat box. Please submit your feedback in the link. So now we conclude here the session.
Yeah. Thank you so
Uh,
much, sir. Thank you so much, everybody.
Many thanks. Thanks again. Thanks to Mr. Hajra for his inspiring talk. I think students and the faculty members will be highly benefited and they will be inspired from your struggle, how you become a successful entrepreneur. We are really very inspired. In future also, we will call you for this type of
Thank
program.
you so much. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you,
It was
Mr.
lovely
Hajra.
talking to you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you all once again on behalf of the IIC. All the participants are many thanks to joining this program.
Bye, sir.
Bye. So all of you give your feedback